What is up, guys? Winter Kills here. Welcome back to a brand new post-commentary duel video. Yeah, we got Phantasm Spiral versus Mekk Invoked. This is a pretty interesting matchup. There's some things to discuss towards the end, but if you're interested in any of the sleeves or the playmats used in this video, you can go ahead and check out the links for Imperium Duelist down in the description below. And yeah, use that discount code if you decide to purchase anything from their website. I highly recommend it. But anyways, without further ado, we'll get underway here. My opening was sort of subpar, and also I went over this video, you know, before it was fully edited on stream. So if you ever want to get in on any of this type of content, sort of, be sure to tune into some of my streams every now, because sometimes I'll review these videos before I go ahead and do the commentary over them. So if that's something that you seem interested in, go ahead and check out the Twitch down in the description below. But enough of that, enough plugging. Yeah, as you can see, my opening hand is like not the greatest. Painful decision, getting me Megalo Smasher with one set, which I believe is ends up being Spiral Power, which is, you know, basically a breakthrough skill that drops your opponent's monster by 1,000. You can only use it if all monsters you control are normal monsters, minimum 1. And I decided to burn it right there on the Alistair because I'd just rather not have him get access to Invocation and sort of call his bluff. You know, if he's got another one in his hand, he's got it, right? I just would really hope to not let him get Invocation and see where it goes from there. Obviously, stopping a Mekk Knight play would also be beneficial, but in the end, you can only really stop one. And if I let him get Mekka on board, the possibility of him being able to possibly like stop the trap play or what have you is raised a little bit, since there's only like 1 or 2 traps in the deck that I'm playing currently. I've made changes to both these decks since the last profiles were made. Just been a lot of testing on stream, and like hours of testing on stream, and making slight changes here and there to both of these decks. But you see Blue Sky going off, and he had to set a card for that, obviously, and going to be searching a Mekk Knight. But I did mention towards the beginning of this video that some technical things happened towards the end, and it's just partially more so a lesson to be learned when it comes to just paying attention and make sure you're very aware of everything that's going on in a game, because it can cost you certain times, but we'll get to that when we get there. Going into Alistair with Alistair the Invoker and Mekk Knight Blue Sky, summoning Purple Nightfall. Now, Alistair, I used to not like the card and use it as much in the past, but now I've actually just really grown super fond of it, and I find myself very rarely making, you know, Morning Star unless I absolutely need to, and if I have no other way to get into Alistair, I often find myself going into, you know, Morning Star. That's when I'll go into Morning Star, but 90% of the time I'm trying to go into Alistair first because he just sets up so many plays. Grabbing fusions and grabbing, you know, cards like the Book of the Law, especially with this brilliant fusion engine that I put in here, it just works so much better. And I remember the last stream I had, I just pulled off Boral Sword OTK after Boral Sword OTK, and it was just working so fluid and so well. But here, still deciding what to do next. I have this trap engraved, and I think I have at least a copy or 2 of Spiral Grip in my hand, which sets up an interesting play in of its own, because you can use this trap in the graveyard, Phantasm Spiral Power, to banish it to equip any of the Spiral equip cards from your hand or the graveyard. So there you see him flip up a bit of a spicy tech, which is Instant Fusion, and going into Mud Dragon of the Swamp, which is just such an awesome Instant Fusion target in here, as well as a Super Poly target, because I wanted to have a way to use Super Poly even when I didn't have Alistair on the board, because sometimes that just felt like too, like, you know, I'm being set up for a Super Poly. You know, he just left Alistair there. He has one set and a couple of cards in hand. You know, I could get Super Poly'd at this point in time. So having Mud Dragon just to go into, you know, without Alistair is super nice. It's just 2 monsters with the same type but different attribute, or same attribute but different type, I believe. So like you need 2 lights and then like a warrior or a psychic. I think that's what it takes to make Mud Dragon. 900 attack, 600 defense, and Mud Dragon has this, the ability to change its attribute as well, so you can make it light, dark, wind, earth, water, fire, whatever you want to do for whatever fusion you're trying to make, which comes in super handy with a deck like Invoked, because you can just make it become whatever, you know, attribute you need it to be, which I think in this case he uses it to make it light. And actually, as you can see, he had the trap in his hand in this opening play, which if I didn't stop the Alistair, he could have gone into Mekk buff first and had that trap in hand to negate that Phantasm Spiral power, which would have been really, really unfortunate for me. And summoning a second Mekk here, and he does have the Book of Law in hand, keep that in mind. So I spring the trap on him. He's not really too familiar with how the deck works, and sometimes these little things can surprise you when you face decks you've literally never heard of or faced before. My brother doesn't keep up too much with the game, so bear with him. He's kind of in and out of it, and I don't blame him. Sometimes the game can be a little hard to follow along, you know, every day. But I spring the trap up on him, allows me to equip Grip from hand, boosting that Megalo Smasher up to 2500. And he's going to have to be forced to tag out into a Purgatrio, which is going to come out with an extra 400 attack, putting it to 27. And that will be able to run over the Megalo Smasher no problem. And then he'll swing in with the rest of the monsters that he has, dropping me down to 1,000. And now in main phase 2, we're going to opt to use that Purple Nightfall to banish it and add a Mekk Knight from deck to hand. Now, this build was playing the Brilliant Fusion engine, but it's really unfortunate that he didn't get to see it this entire match. Even with a test hand video I did, I just got super unlucky, and, you know, never was able to open it and use it to its greatest extent. And when you can really use Brilliant Fusion a lot of times, it just really helps you pop off. And here I normal summon Sabersaurus, which is super clutch. I have another Grip in hand, again, super clutch. And I'm able to beat over Alistair, and that is going to trigger the Equip spell and equip it to Phantasm Spiral Dragon. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I keep equipping the monster that I'm equipping with? Why do I keep putting the spell directly underneath it? That's a free Mekk Knight column. It's honestly just a force of habit. I do it much less now after this match, but like, it's a force of habit for me to have to put the equip spell directly underneath the monster I'm equipping it to, which obviously in this matchup is a really bad idea because it gives him a free summon of any Mekk Knight, and I just happen to keep forgetting that. So that is what it is, and even later you'll see it come up to haunt me again because it's just a literal force of habit, and it's kind of one of those things that nowadays you kind of just really have to be careful where you're putting things in what zones, because you're never going to know when someone's going to be able to drop a Purple Nightfall or a Blue Sky on you and really make you pay for it. So that's one thing you just got to keep in mind. And here you see that happen right now. Summoning Blue Sky in that column for free. He can add 2 copies of Mekk Knights to his hand. It goes for Red Moon and Purple Nightfall. And again, just in a really, really good position here. Has Purgatrio still, which is being boosted by 600 attack points, which puts it to around 2,900, not around, but exactly at 2,900. And with enough damage right there, I decided to scoop. He has game immediately if he just enters battle phase, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Just attacking over Sabersaurus will win him the game. I have no traps engraved to switch over that equip spell to Sabersaurus to save myself, so we just cut the time. Save a little time, I should say, and go right into game 2. Double terraforming, but we got our turn started off with a Heat Wave, which is super clutch. My opening hand, again, wasn't the greatest, but it's going to slow him down quite a bit because now he cannot normal or special summon anything other than non-effect monsters, which is pretty much everything in his entire deck. That Alistair was just able to search there with Meltdown isn't going to do him a whole lot. And now this upstart actually becomes a pretty controversial play later on. Obviously, that does trigger my field spell, and it was supposed to activate earlier when he activated his field spell. Again, bear with me, I just forgot. You know, the thing activates when your opponent activates any card or effect, and I just didn't remember it in time, but luckily I remembered it for the upstart Goblin. So I get the token that I was supposed to get and the search. And again, I get my turn started here with a Pot of Duality, which at least gets me into another monster, which eventually will get me another search off of that Phantasm Spiral Pacifist field spell, or Umi as it's called on the field. And that grabs me Spiral Battle, which is basically just pitch from hand to destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. if you have Umi and a normal monster on your field. And again, I make the same mistake here by equipping the equip spell directly underneath Megalo Smasher at just a force of habit. There's just no other way to explain it. And what I mean about this upstart being sort of controversial, it gives me an extra 1,000 life points. And sometimes people don't like to play upstart just because, you know, giving your opponent that 1,000 life points in the end can sometimes do you in, because you might have had game if you just not have played that upstart, which I don't know what his hand looked like going into this turn, whether or not he really needed that draw since it was in a bit of a downtime state because we were both under heat wave. Again, who knows? But Alistair comes down here, and since I have the field spell and since I have a normal monster in my field, I can use that Phantasm Spiral power from hand to negate Alistair's effect and drop him down to 0 attack, which is super clutch. And again, you'll see he has the Mekk Knight Purple Nightfall, which I'm not too worried about that I gave him this free zone. I'm a little upset by it. Like right now in this video, I was thinking like, why did I do that? I could have just literally put the field spell or the equip spell like in the center of the field and not give him that free zone, made him have to set cards. He goes to activate Nightfall, and I chain Battle, so it will get destroyed, and he won't be able to banish it to get its effect, because I know if I let it go through, he's going to get a free blue sky, which I figured I stop it now, he gets no blue sky. But unfortunately for me, he has a blue sky in hand to begin with, which is just really unlucky, and there's nothing else I can really do to play around that, at least in my foreseeable, view right here. But he goes to get the blue sky, grabs a red moon, and what looks like to be another purple Nightfall, probably for the next turn. And debating now what to do with a sort of an extra deck play here, because in Mekk Knight Invoked, usually the next step after you sort of have your Mekk Knight on board and Alistair or what have you, it's usually time to link up into Alistair or Morningstar and just to get more plays going, depending on what you have. But here, he's going to set one card and summon that red moon in the same zone my token is in. Now, it's important that he doesn't get rid of my token, because if he does, that'll allow me to get an extra summon of a token off Pacifist, because you can only summon a token off Pacifist while you control no tokens. So if he pretty much makes the last step in his game plan here to destroy that token, it's going to really benefit him, is because I'm not going to be able to get that advantage. And that's why, I've taken a lot of time into testing C Stealth attack. And it's great when you have the setup for it. And this is what I found. It's great when you have the setup for it. But other than that, it's just terrible when you have no field spell to go with it. And you really have no way to take advantage of this card. It's not that great sometimes. And that's why I have this huge gripe with it. But I think I'm still probably going to play it at 1 at the end of the day. And he uses Mind Control here to take, not the token, but takes Megalo Smasher and uses Indigo and my Megalo Smasher to go into Mekk Knight of the Morningstar. Because he did questionably activate World Legacy earlier in the turn, which now puts him under that clause where he can only summon Mekk Knights. And his only thing right now is he does have to worry about the traps in my grave, but I have no field spells in hand, so it's sort of a bit of a bluff at this point, activating World Legacy Succession. And now just at this point is trying to put plenty of damage on board. And he's going to use Red Moon to banish the Mekk Knight Engraved to destroy the token and swing with plenty of damage. Now, the technical issue I was saying at this point is between the start of this round and the last, and the point we're in now, the life points had not changed that much, so I thought the life points that I was using on my phone was from the previous match, so I ended up resetting them, and when he took that direct attack from Megalo Smasher and the token early in the turn, I thought it was going to drop him down to 5,000 instead of the 35 he should have been technically at right now. So all I'm trying to say, whether or not I had the math correctly, whether I just said it, the life points I had in the video, not what you see on the screen right now, were off. So it's going to actually change how this duel should have ended, which again is a lesson in of itself. Always make sure you have life points correct. Always double check with your opponent. Make sure everyone has the life points correct, or else something like this could happen. And granted, it was accepted game state by both players. See, if you see on my phone there, I have me at 200, him at 7,500. And obviously, that's not correct. And I go ahead and use that equip spell to summon out Phantasm Spiral Dragon, which puts him up to 3,400. And I think also the placements of my Phantasm Spiral monsters were a little bit off. I think if I would have put, you know, the token in a different zone, because he does have that active ongoing effect from Mekk Knight Morningstar, which will prevent him from taking damage from a couple other monsters that aren't in the same column, which is why I kind of moved that token there, saying I probably should have summoned it in a different zone. I should have put the token in the zone that Alistair was, and I should have put Phantasm Spiral Dragon in the zone that Morningstar was, because that would have been 3,400. And technically, I was also forgetting the 1,000 burn damage he was supposed to take from Spiral Grip as well. So just a whole lot of me being really, really dumb here. But again, it's just a general rule of thumb. Let this be a lesson. Always make sure life points are being taken into account by both players to prevent something as stupid as this happening. Now, here in Damage Step, I would have activated, you know, the Spiral Grip on the Red Moon. He would have taken 700. That technically should have been game right there. But in my mind, in the video, I was like, you know, he still has plenty of life points left. And I can shift, you know, over to, you know, boost one of my monsters again. But he can still redeclare with that other Purple Nightfall and still punch over for that 200 damage he needed there to win. So, again, just a whole lot of mishaps there. And I'm sorry if it diminished from the video a bit. I still hope you guys were able to enjoy at least that first game, perhaps. I do have a DDD versus Mekk Knight Invoked. A lot of versus Mekk Knight, I know. But it's just all I have to work with at the moment. But I do have a DDD versus Mekk Knight. It was kind of a blowout. I won't say in which way, but I'll probably be able to. I'm probably going to upload that regardless, just so I have it on record. And yeah, but also one thing I want to mention, we just broke. This is actually going to be my 1001st video on my channel, and I plan to make a reflection video, just looking back at some of my older videos. But again, to mention that, thank you guys so much for all the support for the past over 4 years that I've been doing this now. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Old subs, new subs. If you've been here, you know, from the beginning, it really does mean a lot. Even if you're new still, it's absolutely insane the support you guys show. But anyways, check out the links to Imperium Duelist down in the description below if you want to pick up any new gear. Get a bit of a discount if you do, using that code. Also, join the Discord. Check out my Twitch down in the description below. Been playing a lot of YGO Pro on there. I stream about 5 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a time. So if you want to be interested in that, check out a stream. If you never have, I highly recommend. And I'd love to see new faces in the Twitch chat. So if you want to do that, go ahead and give my Twitch a follow. But anyways, Winter Kill signing out, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.